First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion made by Councilman McGowan, seconded by Councilman McGraw, got to be saying that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The next item is our consent agenda items. Questions or additions or?
Make a motion, we approve it as presented.
Motion made by Councilman McGowan, seconded by Councilman Brown. Any more questions? All those in favor? The next item on the agenda is the open forum. We ask that you, if you would like to address council, when it comes to the microphone, state your name and your address, and then your comments, 3 minutes. Where the mic is.
This should be a button.
There, thank you.
Testing. Thank you. My name is Kamitha Fullwood. I actually work at the Johnson County Public Health Department in Smithfield. My address is listed as 517 North Brightleaf Boulevard, and I'm just here to share with Wilson's Mills some of our updated services and offerings that we have at the Public Health Department. I have packets for everyone here. They like them, no pressure. But I just have information about measles. We had a measles case in our county. We had our first measles case in the county, so I do have some FAQs that may be beneficial to the citizens here in Johnson County. I also have a list of our programs and services that we offer at the Johnson County Public Health Department. We are a medical facility. We do have a primary care, a pediatric clinic, epidemiology clinic, women's health clinic. We have a health promotion clinic, and we have behavioral health divisions. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of those services. We also create a public health newsletter every month. And I just wanted to make sure that we share information as this is Heart Health Month. On the back of that newsletter, we have a list of some offerings and classes that we have, which include car seat check, Narcan trainings, a hearing screening, some nutrition programs. I just wanted to make sure that everyone in Wilson's Mills was familiar with that. We also have a free hearing screening February the 18th. So if anyone is in need of a hearing screening in Wilson's Mills, we'd be very happy to have them. We also have some Narcan trainings that are scheduled. So if anyone needs Narcan at their business, agency, home, community location, your local health department does have Narcan free of charge. That is provided by opioid settlement funds. So make sure that everyone knows that information and has that information. We also have breastfeeding support classes as well. And that is all I would like to share. If you have any questions, you all have my business card. I'll be happy to network with you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yes.
You provide CPR training over there?
All right, sir.
You do not? Is it in the plans at all?
No, I've been there 20 years, and all my 20 years, we've only provided CPR training for our staff, not for the community. But if you need a resource, I'll be happy to get you one.
I was thinking it would be something that would help you relate to all the 11 municipalities in Johnson County to offer it for county or municipal employees,
Sounds good.
something like that, because we have meetings where there's people and might be handy.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I would just like to say thank you for coming by. You know, the measles thing, you know, it's pretty contagious from what I can understand.
very contagious.
But, so. Do you guys work with the local school system in the event, for example, Wilson's Mills here, because this is. And our high school, they don't. Do you guys work in conjunction with the school system if you find the case and kind of let them know? So that they will be aware, that a student may have been, exposed.
Oh,
Exposed.
absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. We did a lot of that during COVID time. I don't want to bring up the big C word, but yes, sir. So if we see that there's a need, we'll definitely work with those families involved and make sure that both the families and the school staff and they know how to handle the situation appropriately. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And the information that you have given us, our staff at Town Hall can pass it on to our citizens and help them if they have these situations. So
Absolutely.
that's a good resource that we have. Thank you so much.
Most of us, the older folks here, we were all vaccinated as children. I remember that. Was there a certain time going back in history when you think vaccinations for measles, as an example, kind of fell off in the schools or with newborns and parents weren't doing it as much? In other words, is the younger population more susceptible to it than older people like Mr. Brown?
So, those that were born before 1957, you have some environmental immunity because you were around when there were some other pandemics going on. But yes, our young infants, young children who are not able to get vaccinated yet are some of the high-risk populations that we need to be mindful of. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you think, like, for example, Wilson's Mills Elementary School, 95% of the kids are vaccinated?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. They've had at least one dose. If you have one dose of the MMR vaccine, you have 93% of immunity. If you have two doses, which some of us do have two doses, you end up with 97% immunity after your second dose.
Where does herd immunity fit in there, the definition of it?
At this point, all we can do is just making sure that everyone knows their status so that if and when they do have an exposure, or if they have an exposure, we'll know the best way to protect themselves and their family. There is a check immunity tool that is on that FAQ sheet where you or anybody else can go through that tool and check some boxes, and it'll give you sort of a recommendation. And I think that recommendation, along with your primary care provider support, will sort of indicate what you should be doing as far as vaccination.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you for coming out tonight. Very helpful.
Thank you so
I
much.
would just like to also say for those in our community, you mentioned Narcan.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure the law enforcement and fire is very familiar with Narcan. But it's just to make sure our community knows that you can go there and you can get free Narcan. Hopefully you'll never need it, but I was getting my haircut the other day and talked to a gentleman, his brother suddenly died. And if they'd have had it, maybe could have saved his life. So it's one of those things, if you don't have it, get it, and hopefully you'll never need it. But if you ever do, it saves a loved one's life.
What's the shelf life on that?
About 3 years?
Is it-
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Anyone else wishing to address council? I close our first open forum at 6:41. Our next item of business is comments from me. And I will just, had some things that I have been doing, so I thought I'd let y'all know that I'm not just around. I attended the annual meeting of the Triangle East Chamber of Commerce in Selma. They finally had it after having been postponed twice because of bad weather, but we had a very good meeting. It was well attended, even though it had been postponed so many times. But, they talked a great deal about the work health care that is coming available for citizens, not citizens, businesses, for small businesses in Johnson County. So maybe we can get some of that information out to some of our, small business owners. Doris and I attended the, classes last week to get our certification for our civic, duty or as newly elected officials, and we had 2 days in Rocky Mount and attended classes, and it was pretty entertaining and learned a lot. It was, I tell you, we went from 8:30 to 4:30, and it was jam packed, so we had covered a lot of material. I attended the ribbon cutting for our new fire department this past week, and met with all the people there. It was a wonderful event. Got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while, and that was very good. All the firefighters there. I also attended our Winter Fest at the park and got to have s'mores, and I didn't get to make any of the stuff, but Donald and the rest of the young'uns did. It was very, very nice. I enjoyed that too. We had a real good event, and I was very, very glad that we were able to do it. The mayors of Johnson County are still meeting and still discussing the moving forward with a regionalization of sewer and water. That is getting into the stages of we are trying to put something on paper that we can take to the legislature. So just keep that in mind, and as we're moving forward, I'll be bringing some things back to council for council to look at and see what we would like to recommend. So as we move forward, and that maybe that could help some of our water and sewer. So that's all that I have. And now we're going to turn it over to Leanne.
Try to get through all of this without coughing, sorry. It's stuff everybody's got going around, not me. I did want, before we get to the items that are on the agenda, I just wanted to, make note of the memos that were in your packet about the annexation public hearings that we have been looking at the past 3 months and continuing. And they have requested to withdraw the annexation application at this time for both of those parcels. So I just wanted to make sure that you saw that those were in your agenda. And also, there was no action required, but I did add the dispositions of surplus property from both the police department for some of the chargers and for that old animal control shelter building that was out at the town hall campus.
I saw that was gone. It looks nice.
Yes.
That it's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds crazy, but it looks nice that it's not there anymore.
It wasn't really, valued at a lot, but the person that wanted the building is trading some materials and labor at the park for some of the work that's being done.
So that would.
The first item on the agenda is the update fee schedule for the town of Wilson's Mills. And I know that this came before you last month, but as we were looking at the park fees, if you turn to the back page,
That's right.
next to the last, the last page. The community park rental is how it was worded. We do not rent the park, we rent the shelter. But we wanted to add the word shelter to that just for clarity, because it is a community park. Anybody is welcome there at any time, but if you wanted to rent the shelter, you can do that. And we did change the out-of-town resident fee from 25 to 30 because the daily rate is double out of town as it is in town, so the hourly rate would be double as well.
Yeah.
So that's the only changes.
Do we need to vote on this?
You do,
Okay.
unless anybody's got questions or suggestions.
Everything else stayed the same.
Everything else was the same from where you changed it last month. It's just this that we noticed happen.
Does anyone have any question on what Leanne presented?
Make a motion, we approve the community park shelter rental as revised, page 5.
And just say, make a motion to adopt the exclusion, which is that item.
Make a motion, we adopt the amended fee schedule as opposed to the item.
Motion made by Councilman McGowan, seconded by Councilman Fowler, to adopt the fee schedule as presented. Any more comments? Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Passed.
The second item is the police department design discussion, and before the meeting started, I handed everybody some options. Now, the first page that you've got is a draft floor plan of some things that we've been looking at for the new police department. We've met quite a few times with Mosley, which is the architect that's working on the design. And after a few changes, this is what we've come up with as the draft floor plan. Chief and I are available to answer any questions about that if you'd like. The next 3 pages are 3 options for placement of the building on the campus. And we met several months ago about some of the planning for the town hall campus. We talked about where we might want to put this, and this is what we've come up with the 3 options based on the layout of the building, the area on the campus, connection to sewer. A couple of these options would do away with the current public works building. And then we would switch out and use other buildings. So I'm trying to make sure I've got what they understood. Yeah, so if you turn it this way. So this is 70, so you're looking at it, Highway 70. So sorry. Somebody online is hearing my microphone. They thought that was fine. So 3 options give you 3 different locations for the building, and before we move further with the design with Mosley, we've got to decide which of those locations is what you would prefer.
My first reaction is the I personally don't like to see the demolition and of the current maintenance building with everything that's going into it. And besides, I kind of like it. I like the proposed police department off to the side like this, up against the woods on 2 sides. I'm sure the police would prefer that also. Even though it's great for the public to drive in and see the police department right there, we can make Patrick Building pretty good. I like the police department off to the side.
Which.
I think it's the third one.
So you're looking at option 3.
Option 3, yeah, it seems to be a lot more room down there and a lot more room for expansion if it's needed. The first one? No, the first 2 require the demolition of.
No, it doesn't.
What?
It says-
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It does. So if I
Yeah.
could just give you a little information about all 3 options. So yeah, options 1 and 2 would require the demolition of the 6th bay. Options 1 and 2 would require the demolition of the 6th bay. Which again, the chief and I, along with Patrick and the architects, have had conversations about how it would look coming into the property, how it would look from Highway 70, looking at the property. And option 3 was our first choice when we started talking about this. One of the reasons that we started looking at moving it back was because of all of the earthwork that would be required to put it where it's shown on option 3 because of the slant of the property. So you're talking about a lot of, we'd have to build that property up a lot. So it'd be a lot of like truckloads of dirt and building it up so that it would be level enough to be able to build that big of a building on it and have a parking in the back. Also, the gated area in the back would basically be facing Highway 70. So that was kind of the cons for that. The pro was again that we wouldn't have to demolish any of the buildings. Option 1, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong. I think option 1 was the one that kept the fenced area in the back the most private, not, not seen from the public. Is that correct too?
That's right.
Okay. Options 1 and 2, again, they would, both of those options would create a buffer between the police station, police department and the public works building. Option 1 would orient the police department so that it faces the traffic circle, which is one of the things that you had talked about coming in. Excuse me. It includes a road. Wait a minute. Yep, option 1. Excuse me, it includes a road that separates the public works building from the police department in addition to the public parking lot. And then by orienting the building at an angle, there is some frontage that could be visible from the highway, but not the back parking area.
How important is it to see it from the highway when you're blowing by at 70 miles an hour?
Well, that's kind of a two-way question. How important is it to see the front of the building and know that the police department is there? And then how important is it to not see the fenced area with maybe impounded cars and things like that in the back? So I'm just giving
So
you the
if we're-
information that we've
So
discussed.
if you're talking about option number 3, impounded cars are gonna be visible from 70?
Mhm, that's
Really?
correct.
Okay, I still like 3 because I just don't understand tearing down a perfectly good building that's already built and having to rebuild another building plus build a new police department. That's one demolition of 2 buildings, whereas the other way, there's no demolition, just build one building.
The original plan that you had when we talked about the campus was doing away with the existing public works department building, having the police department over there and moving public works into the 6th bay. So the original plan was to do away with one of those buildings. But because of the fact that the offices are already built, the restrooms, the car lifts and everything that Patrick's been talking about, that public works would be better off to stay in that building than to try to move everything over and upfit the 6th bay for another, an additional public works, well, not an additional, but moving the public works over there. So what caused us to kind of move it from option 3 was the cost of the earthwork that's gonna have to be done on that property.
Yeah, but is that going to exceed the demolition of the current public works building, then the redesign and the building of a whole new public works? I think we can spring for a few dump trucks full of dirt to build it back up. I just don't see the
It's not
sense.
just a few.
I'm gonna let the construction workers in the crowd answer that, because it was my understanding from everybody that I've talked to, that would be much more expensive than the upfit.
Dave, your wheel,
Sure, go ahead.
first of all, what is the square footage on this, do you not have a square footage?
It's not on this sheet. The sheet, do you remember, was it 12,
Um,
11,000, I think,
I was guessing 12.
11 to 12, yeah.
11, 12. As far as, I'm always not in agreement to tear down a good building. I agree with Dave on that. But I can tell you earthwork is expensive. When you have to build up this, you're talking about hundreds of truckloads of dirt, hundreds. It gets pretty expensive. However, with that said, my question is take this building on number 3, because that's honestly, that's what I like. And keep the building, because next thing we know, we're gonna end up building the building where this blue square is on 3 or something in the future. When we already had a building, we tore down the building. So that's kind of oxymoron on me. But if we take this on number 3, twist it around. Turn it completely around where the piece jutting out is facing 70 highway. And move it instead of County Watson. That's a county word. Put it straight with Town Hall building. Why would that not be an option?
Are you saying to turn it 90 degrees to the left?
I'm saying this right here.
Yeah, turn it 90 degrees to the left so that protrusion on the new department would face south parallel with the town hall.
You could, I was talking about taking this and completely reverse.
Oh,
Where
108.
this is sticking this way. And even it up with this building here. And making it straight instead of, like I say, cattywampus, making it straight. Now, you might have to push this street a little bit. I don't know if it would work with measure. But that way, the storage stuff would not be visible from 7. I think it's important that visibility from 7 is very attractive.
Well, if I may, then, what is that building down there on the lower right-hand corner? Currently, there's a couple of small buildings there now, isn't there? Is there one large building like that?
So the option 3 would take away the 2 storage buildings that are on that.
And if I remember correctly, they're just stick built.
Yes, one of the storage buildings is open.
If you look at option 1, it shows
Just
those
over.
2 buildings. Option 1 shows those 2
Yeah.
buildings, so those would have to be done away with.
Yeah, they're not fabricated.
I do want to remind you also, of, you had a discussion last month. I think it was at your work session about, our current town hall building possibly needing to be built onto at some point, and the only way that we have to go on that building is in that direction. So keep that in mind as well.
It's to the right, if you're
Towards-
facing it from
yeah.
7.
Yeah.
So that would, and that leads into, is there any way that this will be pushed closer to the town hall building
The police department building?
with, we're looking ahead. If we need to add, I'm gonna throw out there 10 offices on the right-hand side of this building. Whatever office size that we would think, bringing that building that close and just connecting them with a breezeway. Not doing the building to build, but just a breezeway, like a glass breezeway, like up here at the church. I mean, I don't know, I just don't like tearing down a building, but I do know that it can get expensive with earth.
I think if you were gonna do something like that, and I don't know if you can all see this or not, you would take this building and turn it, like you said, 90 degrees,
Mhm.
maybe push it up a little bit.
Yeah,
And like you said, at some point, if we build on to this side of town hall, there could be a breezeway. between
and
the
can't,
two. But
can't,
that would be the front, the public entry, where it pointed, saying that's the public entry, facing
yeah,
number 3, facing Highway 70.
but
42, whatever.
okay, don't we all, so at this time, have a drainage problem with this property on this side anyway?
That would be
So
part of
we-
what would have to be done with the earth.
Right.
As well.
But when we did that, couldn't we also level it up with the side of the, existing town hall building so that if we wanted to build out that building later, we wouldn't have to do the earthwork? Couldn't that build up be all the way across?
We would talk to the architects about that.
Because if we could do it all at the same time, it would be better than to have to come back, because if we take that building and turn it, like you're saying, then that will give us where we need to be. But we're gonna have to have, I'm off.
No, you're
So
off
we're
with
gonna
it.
have to have,
Turn your microphone on, off and back on again.
we're gonna have to have that earthwork, I'll just have to haul. We're gonna have to have that earthwork done anyway if we build on the town hall. So why couldn't we do it all at one time, can't straighten that building out, so you can put it closer to the existing building, so.
That, the decision about that would probably come when we get some pricing.
Because this does still give us our roundabout,
Yeah.
so. So,
Let me ask you, this is, we're planning something, right? This is all planning?
yeah,
Have we brought the planning board into any of this at all? Because there's people there that have built things before. You know, they can help us. Will we not benefit from a quick, 2-hour joint meeting sometime where they have the same thing we have and we can all discuss it?
Completely.
I'm against making the decision tonight based upon what we.
Oh, no, you don't have to make decisions tonight, but we do, before they move forward, just know that we'll have to decide on a location before they can give us any kind of estimates on cost, because this one's gonna include a lot of earthwork and leveling and drainage issues, these other two options.
If
are
you,
tearing it
so
on.
you put wings on it, I'd be happy to talk to you about it, but talk about moving earth, that's not today right now, but these guys and ladies that would be, and I would see us getting a lot more from it if we could have a joint meeting. We've done this before.
Mhm.
I'd like to see us do it again.
I would like if you could ask them about bringing it closer and us with the intention that we're definitely gonna have to add on to the town hall building at some point. If they could straighten it up, even, option 3. And see what that looks like. I mean, it may be that it juts out too far into the street. I don't know. But,
Why are we building that area up? Just bring it up level to the town hall?
Because it's got a little drainage issue. It's gonna have to be built up. Just grows like this.
builders love to dig a hole.
The whole.
So this, are you all saying that this is again, where planning board is going to come in, we can't deal with drainage issues, I mean.
I'm not sure I'm not an engineer, but I'm not sure that you have to build it up when you can have a basin rather than building it up. And it's part of your office area on that slope. They used to build houses and buildings on whatever the slope is. Now they dig holes and put houses.
If we could build it up on the slope like that, you could have parking done, that's, seriously.
And you probably could with underground park.
Right.
You know, that was just another question that I was gonna ask. But, rather than building
Let me
it up.
explain something. I have seen these gentlemen that are public works guys try to mow that and get stuck when it just rains. That's the drainage part. I went down there one day and they had a lawnmower stuck to the point that both of them was out there trying to get it so they could either get something hooked to it to pull the thing out because it was stuck. And it was just from the rain that had washed down and it was water that stains. So that's gonna have something. I'm not an engineer either, but I do know that you can't build on top of the motor. We'll have to do something.
Well, I don't know how we do it, but I'd like to see us meet with planning.
Yes, I think so
As a
too.
planning folks, and maybe have,
That's to look at.
not necessarily an architect, you know, they like to make things pretty and all that stuff, but have an engineer who's got some common sense, that say you can put a parking lot down there, and we can work around the drainage.
Do they have an engineer that's working with them and he has come out to, review the site, and this is kind of where we got stuck, because we don't want to review the site until we know where the site is gonna be. And he's talked about, you know, the differences between the two and the costs and stuff, so what I could do is see if we could figure out a time when you all could meet jointly with the planning department, the planning board, and have the representatives from Mosley there as
That
well,
would be a good idea.
both the engineer and the architect.
I'm going to agree with that, David, and Kim, about this option 3. I'm not as big time sold on turning it. I think it would be a little bit of a decent. But I know a little bit about construction myself, and I don't think it can work the way it is, the way I visualize it, having been out there. But we can't build it up to what town hall is, because that would be way too much.
That's not what they're
That
talking
would,
about.
that would be just,
That's not what they're talking about doing anyway.
but what I'm saying, is there's no way we can do that.
No.
In my opinion, although I'm not an engineer, or anybody that deals with water situations. But I am agreeing with them, that I do like option 3 with them. And then make the decision as we go on how it's going to be positioned.
So I think we can maybe get that scheduled so then we can move forward with that. Yeah.
We'll have all of these.
Yes,
You know,
please take these home and study them and look at them and make sure you understand what you've got. Okay.
Chief, do you have any comments to add? Okay. Step up to the mic.
Part of the reason was
category. Is that creek that runs behind it, that was an issue also. Those categories allow us to not only have parking back there, but to be able to drive around with an entrance and an exit gate. If you turn the way you're talking about, you lose all of that because you got those wood line vehicles behind it. So not only do you have the drainage problem and the slope, but you had the creek, well, it's not a big creek, but it's something that had to be dealt with. The wood line can only be extended so far back. That's why, that is why it's like I said. Because we turn the building, lose that angle, it's still the drive around. Because about both sides. And also have to do to the part.
I think at the meeting, we'll take all of that, into consideration, but our biggest thing was, and Mr. Brown, I agree, and hope others agree with it. Tearing down one building, rebuild it somewhere else, and then, building a nice new building for you guys at the same time. Wow. I don't think it's a good use of the town's money.
Right, and honestly, it didn't matter to me, option 1, 2, or 3, although option 1 and 2, kind of eliminated that drive around issue because the creek was farther back, but the farther you get down towards the slope, closer to the road, and that's where
We may come up with some other options when the planning board gets involved with an engineer. I mean, you've reached my limit.
Okay. Got it.
I just have a couple of other things to the, Central Pines Regional Council has a regional day scheduled for the 20th, which is Friday.
Mhm.
And we ended up with one extra ticket, so right now it's, Mayor Byrd, Councilmember Riley, and myself going, and we have one extra ticket, so I'm going to see if anybody else on the council would want to go. It's from 9 to 2 at Central Pines on Friday. Okay. Mhm. And you can. Ma'am.
That's one.
Yeah. Okay.
And right.
Oh, perfect.
We're riding it now.
Welcome in, yeah. I am going to be sending you all some information about City Vision, which is every year, the mayor and I normally go to this, it's the North Carolina League of Municipalities Conference. This year it's in Raleigh, and it's shorter, only 2 days, maybe a day and a half, actually, day and a half. It's in Raleigh at the Convention Center. And there are tons of breakout sessions for every department in a municipality. And so I've encouraged and talked to my department heads about taking those days to go up to Raleigh for these sessions. And I'd like to find out if any of you are interested. Mayor, if you want to chime in on it.
Just like we attended last time over in High Point. When we all went.
Winston-Salem.
When I got lost going home.
Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem.
Why they want me to go. This is it's the League of Municipalities, it's the same people that put that session on, but this is it's normally 3 or 4 days, but this year it's only about a day and a half, 2 days. And again, it's close, it's in Raleigh, so when is that? It's gonna be May
5th to the 7th.
through, 6th and 7th is when the sessions are.
You'll bring it back up to us before.
I was gonna email it to you so you have a chance to look through all of the sessions and see what's available. And
I
then
keep
just
about
let
half my schedule. My wife keeps no hands.
Well, just
I mean, I would love-
forward it to Vicky then.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. But I'll be sending that to you via email. As I said in my email earlier today, we do not have a certificate of occupancy yet because we, decided not to get a temporary one until the canopies are done. We want to wait until the entire project is finished before we get a permanent CO. And so that's why we're not meeting there tonight, although the chambers are pretty much done, other than getting the chairs in there and cleaning those. We have training for AV on Wednesday. And the entrances are what the problem is right now. So until the canopies are finished, we can't put the CO for that, so. But I'll keep you updated. We meet Wednesday. I don't like to put a time frame on it because every time I do, something happens, but we're meeting Wednesday to get more information about when they'll be done.
It looks better every time I go in. There's something different.
The chambers are, it's beautiful. I mean, it's the walls, ceilings, floor, the seal is up, the logo is up, it's beautiful. So we're ready. We're excited. That's all I have, man.
Council. Anybody have any comments?
Yes, I do. Were you reaching for the button, Jim? No. Chief, I see today that I was in my community, Lodge Landing, they're putting the cameras up. And I think they've got them over at the cottages, is that correct? So everything is done? Total 4 cameras, yeah. But what that did was it reminded me of something that I heard not too long ago. And I'll just ask it like this. Are we having difficulties with the town's cameras that we go through various locations? Are they all online? Are they all functioning well? I mean, we do have a contract with that outfit. I've heard something, so I need to hear your response.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
They're supposed to, after they finish, 4 cameras you're referring to, they're not online, yes.
Right.
They're up, but they're not active, and they're supposed to, before they leave, take care of the camera to depart. And what am I really doing to get them back up and running?
What seems to be the problem with them?
Each location is different, because they were set up differently depending on, the landscape and the infrastructure, what they had to do, so it's hard to tell, like on town campus, the camera issue is different from what's over the park, so. I don't know, they troubleshoot every time.
Are they all down in the park?
No. I think 3 are down, 3 are front. Something like that, they're not home.
Okay, we're gonna get them back up to speed. I mean, we pay good money for them, and
Yeah, it's supposed to.
I don't want them coming out saying, gee, they're all different. We'll get to it when we can. I want them trying.
Some of the problems are, according to them, it's not the camera. It's either the installation or it's a power issue here on this side. And they just have to troubleshoot every time. We haven't had one issue with the camera itself. It's usually something we do with, they had the camera having to be reset, I don't know, technical stuff, but not the camera itself. So we got 3 entities that we deal with Makata camera people, and then we deal with DAS who install the camera. And then, of course, the location.
Do we ever get them all together? Let them point fingers at each other in a room?
We have, but issues so far have not been the cameras, it's been either the installation issue or DAS says it's on our end.
Okay, well, it's just me, but I'll leave that to you, but I certainly want something done about it. I don't want all that money we put into cameras just saying, well, they don't work.
I just add that the way we installed it at Iowa's Landing, it was totally different than the way we did it at the park, which was totally different than the way we did it at Town Hall. So they have to like look at it and do an evaluation. Each way is different depending on the infrastructure, the internet service is there, the electrical access is already there, you know, so again, it's unique.
Okay, well, we're leaving it up to you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
I do, Mayor. I just wanted to say that, and to let the town folks know that our mayor says that we're, council gives us a report every month. But I've been on this council for a short amount of time compared to most on here, but we have a mayor who is very active inside and outside of town and represents us well, and I just want to say thank you, Mayor. You know, I see you on social media and you're going to these meetings, represent us and represent us well, and I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thanks to the staff that stopped by the funeral home when my brother passed. And staff and condolences that were sent for folks that couldn't be there. That meant a lot to me. And
At this time, we will have our second open forum. Anyone wishing to address council, please come forward, state your name, your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you would, please write your name on the form, put on the bottom. Just cut it off out of that. You don't have to hold it, it'll be okay.
My name's Craig Hicks and I live in Lockwood Forest. And first of all, this is not gonna cause Wilson Field to die. I'm an avid hunter and would like to get Wilson Mills to put themselves on the Wildlife Commission Urban Archery Registry. Gives us hunters that are in Wilson Mills an opportunity to hunt for another 5 weeks of the hunt season. It also helps Wilson Mills because this area of Johnson County, the deer population is
Huge.
it's wild, it's gone crazy. And it needs to be thinned out. For the last, I've lived here for 16 years. And for the last 6 years, I've planted a garden and the deers have destroyed it. I haven't gotten, last year I didn't get a single tomato off my tomato plants because they ate them. So, the deer population in this area, and you could check with anybody in Johnson County. It's overrun, we're overrun with the deer population. And, and Smithfield needs to do the same thing. But putting Wilson Mills on the Urban Archery Registry. I mean, there's probably 10 or 12 of us in this area that have to take advantage of it. But 10 or 12 of us killing 2 or 3 deer extra a year is gonna help thin out the population of the deer. And that'll help. Won't cost y'all nothing. And I can help you do it.
Did you say this was for archery only?
Archery only.
So not firearms?
No, ma'am. No,
So it
no
would just
problem.
be for archery?
Just,
And it would be in designated hunting areas, because if not, you do know there are certain areas that are not designated. Residential areas are not.
absolutely, yes, ma'am.
So you would have to make sure you were in a designated area.
Well, that would be up to.
It's in our ordinances. You can check with our planning department. It's in our ordinances where you can and cannot hunt. See, I own a farm. I have a shotgun and I've been deer hunting, so I know what you're talking about. I'm not just saying. But in order to hunt in Wilson's Mills, you're going to have to hunt in a designated area.
Well, I never heard that before, but,
Because if it's in a residential area, it's not a certain square footage area, it's not big enough, you can't hunt.
well, I've got an acre and a half of land in Lockwood Forest, and I'll back up to a huge field and.
Okay, that would also mean that you would have to have permission from the field owner that's backed up to you in order to hunt.
Why would I need to have his, permission because I'm hunting on my land? I've got an acre and a half of
You
land.
got an acre and a half, but if you shoot something on that man's land and you don't have permission from that landowner, it's not legal.
They know that, and the Wildlife Commission,
I sign letters every year for people to hunt on my farm, and I give them permission because that's the law. If they are caught by that deputy, I mean, that police officer right there, without that on them, they can be arrested.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Can I get a letter of the hunter land?
I would be interested if you could pass along information on what you're sharing. Maybe to Leanna or Wendy, if you're gonna be, whichever one, and I would love to look over them and read it, because we all know that we have a problem.
Yes.
There's a lot of that going on, and
When you see more eyeballs than you've ever seen. So, but I would love to, some more information to study.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not trying to make Wilson's Mills into not trying to make Wilson's Mills into a bureaucracy, but it's very difficult for us to sit up here and go, yeah, all in favor, let's do that. It's gonna require just a little bit more. For example, the information that Councilmember Brown is asking for. I could see you coming back to us next month with some more data in hand after speaking with Wendy. After speaking, sitting down with Leanna, with Wendy, going over the town's maps and seeing what's where and what's legal, what's not. And coming back to us in addition, giving us more information on the archery, the hunters group that you've got, okay? Is there membership required? You have to, I'm just saying, come back to us rather than just not telling us no. I want to see it where I can read it and say there's no membership required. Yes, there is training required. We just don't let anybody go out there with some of these sharp arrows shooting them everywhere.
yeah.
You know what I'm getting at? It's going to require more than just us saying yes or no.
I agree totally. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's something that we can probably get behind if we had all the information, and if you had the information about the town.
Well, I have some information on it right now.
Well, just get with Wendy,
Yeah.
go to town hall, get with Wendy, and then go over the planning and find out where you can and cannot.
All right.
And the other thing,
Then we can discuss it and look at it all together.
another
That's
thing,
a great idea.
another thing that you could do in your favor.
I'm listening.
Okay, another thing that you could certainly do in your favor is get with the chief and say, ask the chief or ask anybody there if they have any statistics on deer and vehicle interaction. Because I see deer all the time by the side of the road, so yeah, insurance costs go up. So I'm saying you could do that in your favor, and we would look upon that a little bit favorably, a little bit more favorably. Saying, we gotta reduce it, not just because there's deer eating your tomatoes, I get that. But there's deer hitting cars and they're always hitting them, let's say on Fire Department Road and Sutherland Road or Howard Dam. You see what I'm getting at? Something just, I'm not saying a big detailed report for a bureaucracy. I'm just saying a few more facts that we can look at and go, yep, I like what I hear. I mean, I'm not against it, but I want more detail.
All right. I'll take care of it.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to address council?
My name's Donald Burger. One thing that council probably don't even know,
Address?
755 Fireteam Road, Clay. Or what's the mill, whichever way you want to fill it out. Johnson County, we go to the county or to. Says you gotta have 10 acres of land to hunt on. And it's outside the city limits, you gotta have 10 acres. Inside the city limits, you gotta have 10 acres.
Do they differentiate them? Guns, arrows, bow or
It
gun?
don't matter, said, that's something you might want to investigate. I would. May have to go through the county and get changed. I think the county is going by state law. So you might have to go higher. I do know you can. If you're having problems with it in your garden and things like that, you can't get a special permit from the game board to shoot. But other than that, you can't do it.
Get that special permit inside this.
Inside town limits where you live.
You can't shoot a gun inside the.
You got that permit, you can. We got a guy in town that does every year. It's in his garden.
Jason Moore, I don't actually live in West, kind of like Smithfield, I think my address, is like
Yeah.
37 Bird Street. I'm mayor, council, that members. Tried to make it last month, but, my, schedule has been unbelievable. So, I started, as a fire chief with Wilson's Mills on, December 1st. Met, mayor and the others, for a couple of weeks, speaking on lunch. Gave me a good handshake, and I think he smiled and said, good luck. Then my buddy Marvin back there, keeps me straight. But we've been making a lot of progress. I just wanted to update the council, want to introduce myself. It's been a lot of assessments, a lot of figuring out, right? I mean, from a state of 200 miles north of here. We're here up there in the city, I come down here. It's really nice. I'll say that. But there's a lot of work to do. And it's 2026, and we have 3 stations, most Clayton and Smithfield. And we're gonna move up to 2026 as fast as we can. So with that being said, I started out creating a lot of working relationships, started down, over my expectations, and on my way back, didn't know it'd be about 75 days later. So I was glad to see a few of you over at ribbon cutting ceremony. Chief and I got to say hello again. And but we've been making a lot of working relationships. Johnson County EMS, emergency planning and operations, 911 center, mutual aid, all of our jurisdictions and provide mutual and automatic aid to us. Some of those have gone by the wayside, they're back. And a lot of it is because since December 1st, we have a 91 percentile success rate of staffing every station since December 1st. And what that means is that there is an EMT and there's 2 other firefighters, the firefighter EMT in the middle, and 2 other firefighters there for staffing, 3 personnel. Hasn't been that way in the past. So the expectation is to make sure that if anybody needs our assistance, we're there. We have about 27 employees that are on our rolls, if you will, that are allowed for our budget. And we just recently got last about 2 weeks ago, and done with things. So we went outside to a North Carolina Fire Chiefs Associates, pretty much one of the same, I guess you call third-party assessment centers and hired me. And I reached back out, so what I said, I said, oh, I'm doing an assessment. This is what I identified. These are some of my numbers. And we went back and forth a little bit. This would be about 50 grand. What that means for us, that I get our staff that can freebie and not just. I don't want to put anybody in harm's way. That's why I say. Johnson County has a minimum staffing of 2. A lot of that is just to meet the exam, which is National Fire Protection Agency. To break that down, they're simply saying we can get a fire truck there, put it out, escape on side. We have a lot of really expensive gear, a lot of really expensive fire trucks. Expectation. So that's what we're doing. On this past Friday, it's quite a challenge. We went through 39 applicants at one day, about 5 a.m. about 9:30 that night. These applicants, for the first time with Wilson's Mills history, from what I gather, were interviewed, written exam, practical exam, another practical exam outside, and a physical agility test. That's a standard average fire. We felt it necessary to raise the bar a little bit because currently North Carolina Department of Security, a part of the plea for the same employees, all separated by $1 or $2 an hour. We wanted to set the bar and tell them serious, and we had 34 out of assessment pass. So that's good. right? Now they gotta get through people. I'm hoping that works. So that's this Friday. We have outside assessors, some people that, don't know anybody from here. On the other side of 85, and some north of Winston-Salem. So, different firefighters and chiefs that, I've known over the years. Doing us for our company officers, make sure that they meet the expectation of leading the company. The other thing we're trying to do is, we have a really big ladder truck and a big bucket on the front that does more than just wholesale. Right, and, we're gonna try and put that in service full time. Because there is a need for, and the ability of something that truck comes through, working with an engine crew, creates a large success on the fire ground, similar to what we had on top of. We had a fire over there one morning on Friday, like textbook, it's great. Fortunately, we had a few fires that week. And, even on Christmas Day, we lost 2 down in fire. So, we try and be proactive, not reactive. In that case, we will react. What we establish community, outreach program, applied through grants for, smoke detectors and organizations to us. Information to help residents and senior citizens, everybody, not just change your smoke detector badge, but different ways that you can keep your house clean and have your exit ways open. A lot of fire prevention material. So, we're also in partnership right now with a grant writer out of Kansas that has a 94% success rate for grants. Should be good for us because we never applied before. So we're looking for staff. To do that. And supplies us about $400,000 of equipment. And it will help us get through our day-to-day outreach. I am hopeful to come back to you guys if they hold up, I don't be here. So if you have any questions for me, and I'm always on my phone. Track down Marvin, he's normally around all the time. He's not passing through, he's on the way to the next station. He does a great job. But I'm glad to be here. Hopefully we'll have a good relationship, maybe.
A couple of quick questions. The only statement on behalf of all of us, welcome.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I've said hi to you before at one of the community events, but it's nice to see you here and addressing us like this. I do appreciate that immensely. 3 quick questions. Full time. These new hires you're talking about, 34 out of 39 that passed, are they going to be full time or?
Yes.
So what would be the overall percentage that you're trying to achieve of full time population? In other words, you have 100 firefighters, 28% are full time. What are you looking at?
We have a lot of firefighters that are tired. Past members, if you will. Have about good assessments, active members. 5 of those 13 have now applied full time. 2 of the other, and it's part time. So, we had been doing things in the past, as far as like giving them a site, something. It was $10 an hour. Something that covered their time to get some of trash to keep staff fire trucks. And it's just not working because some would work 150 hours a week, and the other ones are working the minimum of 24. And there's really no way to budget that. So what we've done is put them all part-time employees, bump their pay on about $10 more an hour on top of that. But capping 96 hours. Full-time employees that we have are 15 on number 16. Like I said, we're slated for 28. And so that's about 50.
That's the number I was looking for.
Well, there's 15 right now. If you think so there's 3 shifts and there's 3 stations. Tells you how many you're using a part-time employees.
Police department, fire department cooperation, you mentioned you're trying to get past this one person coming out with the trucks, can't leave the truck, can't go inside. But with fire department, with police cooperation, would that not change a little bit if there's an officer on scene? And chief, do we try to send out an officer for every call that fire department's going out on?
Yeah, we've been doing that for last 6-7 years, every call that goes.
Everyone, okay, good, all
Yeah,
right.
you've had great interaction with them, even with some of the other agencies. And I can tell you that I've been every ambulance that rents space from us for Johnson County. Asked them if they ever had needs, but if the police or fire department's not there, and they say, no, the police, Wilson smells, they're Wilson.
Perfect.
So that's what.
That's what I want. My last question is, why do smoke detectors, the batteries fail at 3 AM in the morning?
I'll tell you what, if you could answer. I probably wouldn't have had probably about 30,000 less calls than DC.
Chief Moore, welcome. Just so people will understand, do you have a number for calls, last year?
Last year we were, well, that's a little bit unique as well, but last year we were about 1,600 calls a year.
Okay, hang on right there. I don't remember how many it was when I retired. But it may have been 100. So, and I hadn't been retired too awfully long. But 1,600 calls. And I don't think people really realize how busy our fire department, I don't think people realize how busy our police department. And emergency service. But I just wanted to get that number out there for our people to understand. And I want to say thank you for raising that bar. It's not the same, but EMFD that I retired. Things have changed and gotten more complicated and more stringent. So I just say thank you. Thank you for that. The last thing I want to say thank you for is thank you for bringing old Santa Claus through the camp. I'm gonna tell you what, there was some happy kids. And I don't know who else does that, but I know that there was some happy kids and those lit social media up. And it's just a great PR thing. And I'm gonna say thank you.
Yeah, could you put out something and let us know when you're coming through?
So,
For example, when I was landing, I saw you, I followed, I got a lot of lollipops, but no other kids.
yeah, I tell you, I started on December 1st. I flew out to Tampa, December 2nd. I flew home on the 3rd and went open right to moving in the new fire station. So it's a little busy the first week. And my little girl said, Dad, Santa Claus coming soon, Santa Claus coming soon. In Maryland, that's what we used to do, play, I think, Santa Claus around. We would do it 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I lived 15 years in Bowie, so I know about Santa.
Old Bowie or New Bowie?
Old Bowie.
So, it was my little one. She wanted to see Santa. And I said, you know what, we can put him right in that bucket, we can fall down. Not to say he didn't try. But, it was a good success.
Tim,
Okay,
tuck her off.
Oh,
That's where we put it, right?
okay, thank you.
See, now you know. Oh, and also Tim, now it's 48.96.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. It's not sitting.
Yes, ma'am.
but thank you, yes, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council? I close our second public forum at 7:40.
Make a motion, we go into closed session in accordance with general statute 143-318.11A, parentheses 3, consult with attorney. And I make a motion, we go into closed session in accordance with general statute 143-318.11A, parentheses 6, personnel.
Motion made by Councilman McDowell, seconded by Councilman Brown, all in favor?